So let's see. I'm going to pretend that this is the bacteria. I don't want to contaminate something right now. I'll just use this as my bacteria for pretend. And I'll borrow your pipette one more time. Sure. Thank you. All right. So, got a fresh tip here. And let's say that I want to transfer some of the material that's in here, say it's bacteria. I'm going to transfer out of here. It's not good. There we go. Okay. When you go to make your transfer, you'll pick up your test tube. You've got this already loaded with bacteria. You reach under your pipette. I find it to be very awkward when I see people do this. And not only that, it's actually not good technique because look at where my lab coat is. My sleeve of my lab coat, my body, is passing over the pipette tip. So you have to pass under the pipette tip so as not to contaminate it with anything of yours. And keep it, arm's length away. Don't have it right underneath your chin or your face. And then I'll allow you guys to let your lab partner hold the test tube cap. But if you have, agile enough hands, try this. Palm face up. Grab the cap between pinky and ring finger. Now it's out of the way. I don't want to see the caps rolling around on the counter. That's bad technique. The cap is either held by you single-handedly or by your lab partner, so you can do a little team aseptic technique. So you'll flame it before you go in. I've got to transfer my sample in. And when I go to transfer my sample in, I'll not touch the sides on the way in. When I get the tip down into the liquid, that's when I pipette. You don't want to hover above the liquid and squirt. Right? That's bad. You go down into the liquid, you expel your sample, and then what I do is I take the tip out and I drag it along the sides as I push out that last little bit beyond the first stop towards the second stop. So there's nothing left in the tip. Okay? You don't want to create bubbles down in your solution. So you've got to kind of withdraw the tip and drag it along the sidewall as you get out that last little bit of anything that will come out. Before you cap it, you'll flame it. Put that down, and then you got to put this in a safe place. Okay? Make sure you're close to the bucket, like that. And then, when I go to pour my plate, I have to go and get a nutrient auger that's in a liquid form right now. So it's hot nutrient auger. It's molten. And so, we'll look back here. Guys, we have these nice Valentine's Day theme tube racks, all right, and they're oversized. They'll fit these big fat test tubes that we're using today, some of which are in these vats. The vats are set at 55 degrees Celsius. If 100 is boiling and 37 is human body temperature, it's toasty. But it's not going to burn you. And if it doesn't burn you, it probably won't burn the E. coli. So that's what we're aiming for, to keep them in a liquid state, but only as long as we need to do our job, put them into the plates, and then they're going to solidify like regular auger. So as soon as I take this out of the water bath, the clock is ticking, so to speak. It's at a nice toasty 55, and it's going to start cooling down pretty quickly. So if I take too long when I'm talking about this, by the time I go to pour the plate, a chunk might come out. If chunks of semi-solid auger comes plopping out, it splatters, bacteria get everywhere. It's kind of a real mistake, and it ruins at least that plate in your experiment. So you'd have to start that step over. Okay? So this can cool to 42 degrees. As soon as it goes from 55 down to 42 degrees, which is above human body temperature, so still kind of warm, it'll solidify. And what's really crazy is if you thought you could heat it back up a little bit to get it to melt again, it doesn't happen. Auger's really interesting. You have to heat it back up to boiling to get it to re-liquefy. and then cool it back down to 42 to get it to solidify. So it's really kind of an interesting chemical, if you will. But it has the food in it for the bacteria to grow. You know, get to work on your your experiment. So I'm going to pretend for a moment that this is my 10 to the minus 4. Good. Okay. And then let's just say that I'm going to transfer 1 milliliter into the 10 to the minus 4 plate. By the way, this is one of the only acceptable ways to set a pipette down that has something new on it. You could set it on a rack. It's not touching the counter. I may as well be holding it. But those are little things that if anybody else is around and they bump it, that tip should be discarded, etc. Okay, so what do I need to do?
Change it to a
Got to change it, right? So I'm dialing this up real quick. I had to unlock the top. So everybody knows this. Just watch the numbers. Don't get too distracted. We don't want the thing to like lose a spring or something crazy. So going up to the 1000 mark, 1000. And don't forget to lock it. That's an easy thing to forget. So you have to lock it so that it can't turn anymore. I'll go ahead and get my, oops, jeez. I get my 1000 microliters. I forgot to show you the mixing, right? The sample would have to be fully mixed when I made that transfer, right? So you do the little vortexing. I've got my tip is full. And now this is still liquid. I mean, I'm still within that time frame where I think I can mix it in there and pour the plate. So I'll reach under the pipette again. Flame it. I'm going to go ahead and put the sample into the liquid. And now slowly expel that. Okay? Now for good measure, I do like to pipette up and down, but you have to do it very slowly. That's to rinse out all the bacteria, okay? Don't let it snap up and down. Now, again, I'll drag the tip on the side as I go from stop number 1 to stop number 2 to squeeze out every last little bit. There's a tiny bit of agar left in this, but because I rinsed it a whole bunch, I'm not going to worry about that little bit that's left. I'll flame this, recap it. I don't care that the cap's kind of loose, so I'm just going to take it off in a second anyway. And then what I need to do now is mix and pour my plate. So this is the toughest stuff to vortex. It's viscous, it's pretty full. Some of you might do this action. This still works a lot better though. We just want to avoid pouring the plate and having there be a heap of bacteria in one little place. We're trying to make sure that the bacteria are evenly mixed up. And so that's good enough. This is the last little bit of instruction we really got to pay attention to before you guys get started. I want to make sure that your 4 plates, have them set in a semicircle around the flame. The safest place to open a plate is underneath the umbrella of protection. The flame is destroying bacteria and keeping bacteria and fungi and whatnot from falling into the plate. Once you set a plate down, you don't want to move it. Watch what's going to happen. I'll go ahead and pour this plate. Flame it again. Use what's called the clamshell technique. So open it as far as you need to do your job. Pour it in there nice and smoothly. Hopefully chunks don't come running out. Try to get every last drop you can. Okay? Whatever little drop is hanging on there, kill it with fire. Burn those suckers. Now, that little bit that has been heated up to boiling might start to drip down the tube. Don't let it burn you, and certainly if you do get it on, you just wash your hands in case there's anything left over. But that's fine. These test tubes can go back in the biohazard. They'll have a little bit of bacteria on the outside of them. We can wash our hands with that when we're done. But what I wanted to stress was that plate now has this really shallow puddle of agar, if I try to move it at all, it's going to slosh. And it will slosh up onto the underside of the lid. Hopefully it won't leak out. But if you guys have any accidents, I'm here to help you. I'll come and disinfect, I'll put on some gloves, and we'll clean up whatever messes you have. But those messes are very avoidable if you put all your plates pre-labeled in place and don't move them. As soon as you pour the plate, just leave it there, because as soon as you try to move it, it's going to slosh. And we had 3 sloshes even after I said all that.
Oh, and then you make us go home in our underwear?
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right. Well, thankfully it's not radioactive. Or we might have some underwear parties.
No.
So, anyway, instead we'll have pink tube racks. So, all right, guys, let's get started. Do you guys know you guys can look at this and see everything you need? So look at oh, I have a question. How many of these nutrient agar deeps, the molten agar, how many do you need? 4. Would you take out all 4 at once?
No.
I would just take 1 out at a time, because you don't have a lot of time to get that sample made and pour that plate. So be conservative and take out 1 at a time. Was there another question?
Yeah, and it's per pair, 4 per pair, 3 per pair. Like we're
Oh,
not.
yeah.
We're
Okay.
we're not doing our own separate.
I'd like you to do this picture between 2 people.
Right.
So 2 people will make this
4.
whole thing happen. 4 plates will be done at the end,
Okay.
and leave them there so they don't slosh around.
Okay.
We'll let them harden up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So work with your lab partner. If you're an odd person in this arrangement, and you could work in a group of 3 if you want. If you have to, you could work in a group of 3.